Hi folks, this was an open tag that I picked up from a number of people, but I suppose mainly from Paddy, but I've seen a few others since. Big Red EDC's done one, and this is my American knives. Now, I'm in Britain, so an American knife has no patriotic value to me. It's not like a Sheffield knife or British knife. It means something to me. I buy American knives if they're good, and if I like them, not to fly my flag, because obviously it's not my flag. That's in 1776. But I do have some American-made knives, and there's obviously a number of case knives there. But I've got one or two others, and I will in time pick up more. But it's it's just a case of what I see when I see it. So I'll start at this end. I've had this one a long, long time. This was, this is a Buck Alpha Hunter. Now I think this one is the one with just 420 HC blade, because it doesn't have anything on it. I mean, I said I've had this one a while. Had it when I could still walk, so that's 15 plus years ago. So maybe more like 20. It's got some rubber scales. It's a really overbuilt chunk of a thing. But back then, I could carry this. It comes obviously with a belt sheath. You're not gonna carry something like this in your pocket, really. It's just too big and chunky. But I could carry this on a belt sheath and walk about in the city with it, and nobody would ask me any questions at all. I mean, obviously, if you pull any knife out and threaten somebody with it, it becomes an offensive weapon. But back then, we didn't have these silly laws that we have now. Now this, which is in some ways similar sized, it's nowhere near similar size, really. It looks ostensibly about the same sort of length, but this is so light and slim and easily carried. It's got a good lot of blade per blade handle ratio, and in some ways, if I could only ever carry one knife and it had to be this one, well, I wouldn't be too disappointed. It's just a really good knife, and it's one-handed opening. Unfortunately, of course, in the UK, it's got a lock and it's over 3 inches long, so I can't carry it unless I'm in the house or I've got a specific purpose. So I usually take that knife when I'm going fishing, because nobody's going to ask any questions there. So long as you keep it in the car till you get there, put it on. Put it in my pocket when I'm actually going to the water. Don't take it into the cafe and things like that. Now, another Benchmade. I've actually got 2 of these, but I've only got one here because the other one's away in its box. I took it out when I first got it, and I've never taken it out since. It was the limited run blue one with the black DLC blade, but other than that, it's the same shape and style as this. This being, of course, the Benchmade proper. Suppose it's a proper knife. Just so I can get to focus on that butterfly. There it is. So this one is in green canvas micarta, which is really nice. It's got a lovely blade. I like the blade on this one. I know they do a clip point, but the clip point is really quite a simple blade. This one has this really nice swedge on it. You've got a kind of stonewash on the blade and a satin on the flat of the blade here, and then you've got this nice swedge down the back. I'm not 100% sold on this knife. I don't think it's, maybe American made, but hey, look, that jimping, why does that jimping not match up? And really, to be honest, why is the jimping there at all? You certainly don't need jimping on the blade portion of a slip joint knife, because you really don't want to be putting your thumb on the back of there unless you're being extremely careful. Fit and finish is a bit here and there as well, but it's still a nice knife, and I carry this one a lot. It fits nicely in the wee clip slip sheath that I got the other day, so as a result it tends to get it gets carried in that, this little clip slip, which is really good. And I can never remember the name of the guy that made it. It's a guy in Germany, but it's this clip, so it clips onto your pocket, and then this knife fits into it beautifully. So, what's next? Shut that one down. Getting better at this opening and shutting knives thing. That's where I cut myself. Now this is my one and only Spyderco. It's not my one and only made in American Spyderco, it's my one and only Spyderco. Which says it's made in USA. And just in case you're in any doubt, it points out that that is on Earth. Not quite sure where else it would be, but there we are, Golden, Colorado, USA. And, you know, I know people get really excited about Spyderco knives, but the more I handle this one, the more I just think it feels cheap. And I've always thought that with Spyderco knives. I know there are really expensive ones that come in titanium and carbon fibre and stuff like that. But this G10, I don't know. I just can't get excited about it. So I never carry it as a rule. It doesn't even live in my kind of rotation place. It lives in just lives in a box and cupboard. Now a knife I can get excited about. Now this is a GEC, and in some ways this is kind of the bottom of the range, the entry level of a GEC, because it's a Tidiot pattern, which means it doesn't have the nice polished blade and has a very simple kind of swedge on the back of the blade, which is nice, but it's not like a Northfield. Now I find that quite useful because I'm happy to use this. A Northfield one that's got all the printing on the blade and so forth ones, I'm less inclined to want to use it. Also, this is acrylic. Now, acrylic is in some ways a cheaper material, but actually I quite like it. My wife likes this one, funnily enough. One of the few knives I've got that she actually quite likes, but still, there we go. I think she liked the sort of slightly pinky colour of the salmon. It's got a nice half stop on it. Although I'm going to do a video on half stops because I'm not sold on half stops as some people are. Right, now the next, this is the West. The West, not just West, it's the West by Quiet Carry. You can tell Quiet Carry knives because I've always got this, the 4-hole pattern on them. Now, this is a nice little knife. I saw it reviewed by Cedric Canada, or the Cedric Canada channel, which is the only review I could find of it on the interweb, except the one that I've done. It's a nice little small pocket knife, genuinely in the gentleman's carry category. So it just says Quiet Carry on there. It's got the 4 little holes. Everything else on this side is nice and smooth. Actually, this side I'm more than happy with. I think it's lovely. The other side I'm not quite so enamoured of. I mean, one of the problems with modern knives is because you want to be able to take them to bits, so they all come with screws on them, and there's nothing. They're not the hidden pins of a traditional knife. But you can live with that so long as they're nicely recessed. What I don't like is the fact that the one on the clip there is not at all recessed. It's proud. I'm sure they could have got a countersunk screw for that, and it would have made it all the nicer. Again, of course, it's a slip joint. It's in D2 steel, as you can see there. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. Don't know if it's in focus or not. Perhaps not, but it is D2, take my word for it. It's only a quick, this isn't a review of this knife, it's just a run through, so let's not worry too much about that. Yeah, I like the traditional thing where, you know, the pins in the bolsters are hidden, which I think is much more attractive. So now I've got a a list here of case knives, or a stack here of case knives. I quite like this one. This is my cheapest of my case knives. It's also the largest, but because it's in Delrin and it's in CV steel, so you've got a nice clip point blade, and then on the other side there you've got a very sturdy, stout sheep's foot. It's a really nice blade, that, actually. I like that. And then you've got a spay blade. And as I don't keep animals, and even if I did, I wouldn't spay them myself. I've no real use for a spay blade, but it does have quite a nice rounded point on the end, which is quite nice for whittling and carving. So this makes quite a nice whittling knife. It's not a true whittler, not the whittler pattern, but it makes a nice whittling knife. So then, especially for Tobias, I have a trapper. In fact, I've got two trappers, but let's start with. I like the blue bone. The only downside of this one is that the spay blade is rather badly off centre, which I'm not keen on. But you have a nice clip pack blade, and then you've got a long, solid spay blade. Now, I own a lot of sodbuster patterns, but this is the only true sodbuster. It's not the only one that's true to the pattern, but it's the only. But the sodbuster name was patented by or trademarked by Case in 1967. So Sodbuster and Sodbuster Junior, and this is actually Sodbuster Junior rather than a Sodbuster. So it's got that characteristic Sodbuster shape. Again, this is in stainless steel, and this is my favourite burnt amber jig bone. And you probably gather I quite like burnt amber jig bone because I have here 4 of them, 4 out of 7. This is a Stockman again, but this is the mini Stockman. So it's the same knife, just smaller, but this one's nice. So it's got the peach bone, or peach, I don't know what it's called, burnt amber anyway, coloured bone. I'm told it's the least collectible because it's the most common, but hey, I like what I like and I will buy what I like. And I have another trapper, and I quite like this one because it reminds me of my Kershaw pub, because we've got a nice blade on one side, a clip point blade, and then on this side we have, I'm sure I can open it, I need to go off cameras. That's it, just can't get it at the right angle. I've got a bottle opener and a screwdriver. Now that seems to be much more useful than a spay blade, because I can assure you I've taken lots of lids off bottles, not so many testicles off sheep. So, and then this one, I've got the canoe. Now, this is the traditional canoe. In other words, it's got one longer blade. Whoops. One longer blade, which is a nice stout spear point, and the shorter pen blade on the other side. They do a thing called an equal end canoe, which has 2 of the stout blades, and I quite fancy one of those actually. I mean, I always like to keep the second blade as a, like a razor sharp scalpel. Use the other one for everything, and just bring that one out when I want something, when I really need something sharp. And then finally here, my last of my knives, so out of focus again, is the it's called the baby butterbean, but to me it will always be the baby canoe, because it's the same knife as the canoe. It's simply smaller. The only real difference in a construction point of view is that the canoe has 2 springs, 2 back springs, and the butterbean has, to focus. You want to focus? Want to focus? Go on, focus. It's just the one. But other than that, it's got the same blades, the stout blade and spear point, and the smaller pen blade. The other thing about this one though, funnily enough, this costs about the same money as the canoe, and I've always found that a little bit irritating. But I suppose it's a similar amount of work as to go into a bigger knife and a little knife. But this does have a nice cut swedge on the blade and long pull. And it's sort of similar on the pen blade as well, actually, which is nice. Oops, dropped it. Anyway, well, tell you what, just take my word for it, although it could be here for a while. So anyway, these are my American-made knives. All but one. I say I have a second proper, but it never comes out of its box, I suppose. Maybe one day we'll get it out. So there we are. Thank you very much. Bye.